Hi, Scott Whitley here. How are you doing? And welcome to this. I think it's the 4th live Q&A session. Now, I've not actually got a piece of music prepared for this one. That's bad, isn't it, Jan?
Terrible.
This is my wife, Jan, that you can hear. She's going to be taking your questions. So what I thought I'd do is just have a bit of a jam for a couple of minutes, just to kind of ease things in. Welcome everybody that's here already. Here we go. Let's a bit of drums and we're good. All right. Hey, there we go. That was interesting to say the least. How are we doing? Have we got any questions in, Jan?
We have, yes. First one, let's have a look. Okay, this is from Laurent. He says he's recently watched a video featuring Richard Boner's signature amp by Mark Bass.
Right.
Ninja Combo.
Okay.
And Marcus Miller amp by Mark Bass 2. Have you ever tried Mark Bass amps? If so, how would you compare them to other brands?
So, yes, I have tried them on quite a number of occasions. I quite often, when I'm doing like festivals with Big Country, the kind of in-house amp, the one they provide, is a Mark Bass setup. And in fact, I've started speccing, because Trace Elliott's like, that's what I use, but because it's a company that's not doing those big amps, the kind of things that I use, anymore. I will spec Mark Bass now. Now, the first time I used a Mark Bass setup, I didn't really like it because I found it to be it was very, very flat response, but very middly. It didn't really give me that kind of sparkle I was looking for and that kind of depth. And until I discovered that there are two filter controls on Mark Bass amps. I can't remember exact name. Somebody might be able to chip in and type what these are, but one's called V something. I can't remember, but there are 2 filters on most Mark Bates amps now, and one of them does a contour thing where it scoops out the mids, and it makes it sound, more like the kind of sound I was looking for. So it's almost like a pre-shape thing, but it's completely variable, unlike the Trace where you just switch it on and off. And the other thing that's super cool is there's like a kind of vintage sort of control, right, filter, which kind of seems to roll off a lot of the highs, and kind of you can get the tone of like a mic'd up cab, if you like. And then you can fire that straight out of the DI, and it sounds great through the board. So the other thing is as well, they tend to. I use the bigger ones. I always spec higher wattage heads. I haven't used the exact ones that you're talking about, but they stay pretty clean. I'm not a massive fan. I'm just going to turn this fan off. It's really loud. I'm not a massive fan of Ampeg for the style I play. It's really good for pick playing, I guess, and like rock stuff, but it kind of compresses the sound a lot. Whereas the Mark Bass stuff, like the Trace, it's very kind of transient, very transparent in terms of attack, So I really like them. And did you mention something about Mark King there?
Well, basically, I was going to go on to say, he does mention he's seen that they had another combo, Alain Caron signature, and that Mark King has also shifted to Mark Bass too. But he's also saying, would you recommend that brand, or should he turn to another brand of amps? I'd
recommend them highly. Just an interesting thing regarding Mark King. We were playing in Ireland. Was it Dublin? I think it was Dublin. We were playing. I'm going to put the fan back on now. I'm sweating. We were playing in Dublin with Big Country, big festival, outdoor festival. And one of the other acts on, I think maybe the headline act was Level 42, and back in the hotel, I ended up stopping up very late drinking red wine with 2 of the guys from Level 42, which was great fun, and but it was really interesting because I got that intel that Mark King was going to Mark Bass on that night before it was announced at all. I think it was that day the kind of deal was signed or whatever, and they were saying, look, you can't tell anyone this, but Mark is moving over to Mark Bass. It probably wouldn't be ethical to tell you the reasons why, but I also know the reasons why he did that as well. So I would highly recommend Mark Bass.
Laurent actually says the Marcus Miller combo and heads have these options. It must have been something you were saying, obviously, about it there. Hugh is saying Mark Bass gear is ace, but a super price too.
Yeah, it is. It's not bad compared. I mean, I don't know. The bass world's kind of nuts in terms of price. I mean, I love all the that kind of high-end boutique stuff that's around at the minute. And what's Phil Jones stuff? I don't know. It's a while since I've looked at amps for me to buy, but I always loved Phil Jones stuff with the like scores of these tiny little speakers. But price-wise, it is. It's like buying a car or something. So I've got one that works and I keep using it.
Just want to say thank you. I'm not sure who this is, but just WB. They've just shown some support to you by a little donation.
Thank you.
So thank
Very
you
nice
for that.
Thank you, WB. I know who that is.
Do you?
I won't reveal, but I do. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I don't. So
Thank you
I'm
very
sorry
much.
about that.
It's all right.
We've got Anthony DeLisi saying hello to all from Chelsea, Michigan, USA. It's 9:00 in the morning there.
Brilliant.
Andy T, good afternoon to you both. And
Afternoon.
Hugh. Laurent says Jacko's watching you back there.
There he is. Thank you for sending this. Amazing.
It arrived safe and sound.
It looks almost like a holy relic there, doesn't it? It's amazing.
Hugh's saying the bass tone is ace. He said, is that a new desk?
Yeah. This.
I can't believe he noticed.
Well, it is quite big. Look at that. I'm stroking it. It's that good. Yeah, I mean, there's been. Let me just take a moment to talk about this. Actually, there's been a load of stuff going on behind the scenes. I'm really working hard to try and, in the long term, make video production better. My old desk was really tiny and it was really cramped, and I plan on trying to get you know, a lot of product demos and that sort of thing in, and I did need more desk space. That was one of the things. Another thing that that we're doing today actually is you can probably hear it's quite echoey, and I've been fighting with the sound of this room so much. So we've got some sound treatment coming today that I'm going to be fitting. It was supposed to arrive tomorrow, and there was some arrived the day before that, but I didn't. Anyway, basically, I've just been working really hard at all this kind of stuff. So I'm a little bit stressed at the minute.
Yeah, bless you.
But I'm seeing the bigger picture, and like hopefully in a week or a couple of weeks, you know, everything will be just in place, and it'll be a case of coming in here and just making content. So yeah, looking forward to it. But yeah, new desk. Oh, and there's a new microphone coming as well, which should really reject a lot of the noise of the aircon and stuff like that. So you know, all. Oh, and bass tone. Let me quickly talk about that. Just I know this is your Q&A, and I'm like babbling on, but the strings I had on for the last couple of weeks were I might have mentioned in one of my Q&As. They were rotor sound. Medium scale strings, which are the same as their short scale, but just a bit longer. And if you haven't read my article on shortscalebase.co.uk, their short scale strings don't really do it for me at all. And what I use is their long scale strings on a short scale bass, and they're a different thing altogether. Anyway, the reason I'm saying this is the past couple of videos I made, I've had those rotor sounds on, and you know, they are just horrible, you know? I mean, they make great strings, but for some reason, those short scale strings are awful. I watched my last video, 5 ways to make practice fun. I listened to the tone on that back, and I wasn't happy with it at all. I mean, the video does the trick. But these are Didarios, and like, they're just like, how good is that? They're just so much purer, you know. It's like night and day. And when I first started doing the short scale thing, I nearly gave up on it because of those rotor sound short scale strings. I thought that's what short scales sounded like, you know. So anyway, there we go.
Just want to say a big thank you to Laurent. He's kindly donated. Actually says, he says, Mark King certainly did it for the money, lol.
He didn't actually, but there you go. But thank you very much for that, Laurent. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah. I don't think it's. I won't divulge too much, but you know, he'd been with TC for a long time, hadn't he? And they. I mean, now he's done the thing. I don't suppose it really matters. But let's just say that the way they were dealing with their artists after, I think there was a takeover or something. Somebody else might know about that. I think somebody took TC over, and maybe it was a transitional thing. But the artist program wasn't really looking after their artists for a little while there, and Mark Bass kind of nipped in, and the timing was such that they said they really look after him, you know. So.
Dale, I think it's Gatenby, I hope I've pronounced that right.
Hi Dale.
He says, hi, could you in layman's terms explain how in practice the major and relative minor pentatonics work together? Got me a B1 ON. Cool. £40, new brill for practice.
That's it. They are a great unit. So yeah, the relative major and minor, the way I look on it is they're actually the same thing. They're the same scale. So if I play... you know, a C. It's a pentatonics, yeah. By the way, for some reason, I'm not actually feeling that great. So if I look a bit shaky, something, I don't know if it's because I'm not eating. I have eaten, haven't I?
You have, yeah.
Maybe I've got. No, let's not say that.
It's probably the red wine last night, Scott.
It might be, yeah. That's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So here's a major pentatonic, right? Which, if I play the relative minor pentatonic. Right, those are actually the same notes, you know. So you've got an A, which you've got in the major pentatonic. Yeah, you got the C in there. They're the same notes, but centered around, you know, a different point. So basically, if I just play a descending major pentatonic, C major pentatonic. From the A, and just hit the open A, say, for example, you can see. So what am I doing? Yeah, you can see how those notes, they fit into both. So basically, you can kind of interchange them, and it's a weird thing where it's the same with the major and the relative minor scale. You know, they share the same notes. You know, so basically, you can if you're playing over an A minor chord, you know, you can use the C major scale. Now, the best way I can describe it, this is the way it seems to me, is it's the same series of notes, but it's the way you play those notes is different. If I play something in a major scale, it sounds my note choices are different. Maybe it's the fingering I'm using or whatever. So yeah, the best way I can put it is if you're playing over an A minor and you use like C major pentatonic or C major scale, your notes choices are different and you get a different flavour. That's the way that I look at it anyway. Yeah.
Hugh's saying Dodorio's the way for him as well.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I'm actually a GHS artist, right? And those are the strings that I love the most. But unfortunately, I'm at that point where I buy them kind of to make it worth me while buying them direct from the States. I buy a lot. I spend about nearly $500 on strings, and then they last me like for a year or a year and a half, and then I get some more. But I'm just at that point where I've not ordered some for a while, and all my cash that I haven't even got anyway is kind of going on equipment for the studio at the minute. So I'm just kind of buying one set at a time. They are great strings. They really are. They're just like night and day different to what I was using before.
I'm sorry, this just made me chuckle. Hugh just went on to say, I'm assuming this is relating to you feeling a bit strange. He says, no, Scott, it's like Samson. You have lost your hair, so now you're feeling weak.
I think it is. But seriously, I was playing that kind of that jam thing, and just didn't feel together at all there. I don't know what was going on, but
it is a bit warm in here, though.
It is warm. That's another thing. Yeah. Anyway. Whatever.
Okay, so we've got Matthew Spencer. Just going back to the strings thing, he says, "Why do you think the rotor sound short scale strings aren't up to scratch? Not enough tension in the core to stay in tune, perhaps?" Well,
I'm gonna do. I kind of wish that I hadn't had to change them today, but I just couldn't do another video using those strings. But what I wanted to do, and I am gonna do. It is going to mean me just buying another set of rotor sounds just to prove the point. But I'm going to, I'm going to do a video where I actually compare them and let you hear what I'm talking about. Because when I Googled it, when I was hearing this, when I first discovered how much better other brands were sounding of dedicated short scale strings, I kind of Googled it. I'm going mad here. And I could hardly find any negative stuff about the rotor sound short scale strings. Which were apparently also, as well as the long ones, designed in conjunction with John Entwistle. So I feel really bad. But honestly, when I do this comparison video, you will be like undoubtedly shocked, to hear it. And I think the reason is, I don't know, I'm not a string manufacturer, obviously, but I'm pretty sure it feels to me like that they've made the inner core thicker and then the winding thinner. Do you know what I mean? So like the actual thickness of the string is I think it's a 90 or a 95 on the E string, and I think what they've done is like normally on an E string you've got like two or three sets of winding around it, and I think they've made the winding thinner and the central core thicker, and you get all these really strange overtones, particularly on the E string. Now interesting. I got an email. Which I didn't see at the time. I got it a couple of years ago from, what's he called? It's not James Howe. I presume it's his son, Howe. I'll have to let me just find the email. Just give me one sec. But I got an email from him. Hang on. No, it's not Dylan now because he's the drummer. Here we go. Hang on. I can't find it. Anyway, it's in there somewhere. I got an email from the CEO of Rotor Sound, and he was saying that he'd seen this article about that I'd written, comparing strings, and he invited me to kind of put my ideas forward. I had some ideas for strings. So I do intend, now I'm like firmly back in the seat with the bass stuff again, to get in touch with him, and hopefully it's not too late to have some discussions. And it would be awesome if we can sort of like come up with a short scale string that really works and is made, here in the UK. It'd be astonishing. So he seemed really open to ideas, so we'll see what happens.
Ken Reeves is saying hi.
Hi, Ken.
He's here too.
Good to see you.
Niall Featherstone, I think this is. Niall's Bass Tones.
How you doing?
He says, hi from Dublin. Can you please play the intro on first verse and chorus to 1,000 Stars?
Can I play? Let's have a think. Hang on, I'm just trying to find my live feed here. Yeah, let me have a go. Let me. I'll need a pick for that.
Laurent says VLC, by the way, he thinks, with regards to that King.
The control. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, VLC. There are two of them. They're just so useful, like much more than other filters I've come across. Right. God, it's a while since I've done this. Let me think. Because it starts with the guitar and guitar and vocals, I think, or drums and vocals, and guitar. Yeah, I don't play for a bit. So here's the first bit. Holy joking. When I come in, it's like this: 2, 3, 4. Kind of do, I think. Yeah, that's roughly it. I do a lot of improvising in that tune as well. I put a lot of things that aren't on the record, just have my own little flavouring here and there. A lot of fun to play. Yeah.
Let's have a look. Okay. Bill Smith, he says, I believe Barefaced Audio is in the same building as Chowney. Have you played their cabinets on a gig or heard them? Alex makes incredible cabinets. Their big Twin 2 is rated 1600 watts. No, I haven't. I mean, I've heard a lot about them, and now I'm kind of, like I say, I've kind of been a little bit out of touch with things. Being on tour so much over the last few years, it's just I kind of bass stopped being a hobby, if you like. It started. I'm just being honest. It started to become more like a job, and I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, but now everything's kind of stopped. I'm really, really fired up, really enjoying all the kind of nerdy stuff again. So hopefully in the future I'll get to try out like more amps like that. I know of them obviously, but yeah, never tried one. Oh, just one more thing actually. I don't want to go too deep into this, but I'm gonna. No, I'll mention that in the next chat. I'll leave that. I nearly said something I probably shouldn't actually there. All right.
No, I'll wait on that announcement. Sorry, guys.
Okay. I'm not sure who this one is. I don't even know. It's Bowiverse.
How you doing?
How did you structure that funky jam? Inquiring funk masters need to know, lol.
Yeah, at the beginning. Tell you what, I want to have another go at play. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I just want to prove to myself I can play that much better. I was actually I'm just being honest, really nervous. It's such a weird thing. You get there's definitely the behind the scenes lead up to these live sessions is it's unbelievable, Jan, isn't it? It's so, the stress is off the chart, you know.
Well, it is for you because you pretty much do everything.
But that's why that's why I'm hoping that over the next week or two, everything will be set up in here, and I can come in a couple of hours before, relax, do a little bit of practice, have a coffee, and get into it, and maybe not drink too much red wine the night before. So yeah, it's I just kind of. This is one of the hardest things to kind of almost teach is how to come up with stuff, really. You know, like how do you come up with that? But I think it's essentially just a case of just playing so many things, and a lot of it is you know, I don't write music down very much at all. You know, if I'm learning a piece of music, I'll always transcribe it myself or write it myself if it's my own piece. But I either make sure I learn it on the spot, or if I haven't got enough time, I'll record it, right? I very rarely write it down, and I think that's key to being able to just kind of come up with stuff, because everything you play, you learn it in your muscle memory and in your I don't know, your creative muscle, if you like, and then you've got all that stuff you can call on it later on, rather than it being on a piece of music and you know, you couldn't do that, could you? I'm going to come up with a riff. I'll just and then go through a load of books, you know. So I think that's an important thing, is learn loads and loads of bass lines and spend a lot of time practicing and trying stuff. And if you make a mistake, if you sort of think, I've got an idea, you try and play it, and if you don't quite get it, try it again and try it again. And I do challenge myself a lot to just play with a drum machine and try and keep something going, you know. Interestingly enough, that piece I played, what was it? What did I do now? Something like that, wasn't it? What am I doing? It's almost a little bit like, is it 43 by level 42? Thank you, Kevin, by the way, just in a super chat there. Yeah, so some of it's kind of calling on ideas that I might have played, or you know, pieces I've worked out in the past. Again, the drum rhythms inspire me. I talked a little bit about that in my last video, 5 ways to make your practice more interesting. If I just throw a different drum rhythm on and a different tempo, I'm thinking soul now, you know. If I didn't have that drum rhythm, the drum rhythm almost says play this, you know, it kind of gives you ideas. So that's a big part of it, is throwing a rhythm on, and it just gives you something to kind of respond to and that. So I hope that helps. I could talk all day about that one, actually. So thanks for the question.
I was just actually going to read out the question from Kevin. It was separate to the super chat donation, actually.
All right.
But he's retracted that, so I don't know if you've got the question that you want to type out again, Kevin, or whether you've changed your question. But yeah, I'll keep my eyes peeled for that, because they're separate to the actual donation.
Oh, it's definitely gone, has it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's have a look at what we've got here. Did we do? No, we didn't do this one, did we? Hey Scott, can you tell me how to practice modes?
Modes, right? Okay, so again, you know, like I'm like Jan. Well, I've just done a drawing hour with Jan and a live thing, and she's completely self-taught at drawing. Her drawing is amazing. Janet Whitley, you should check her out on Facebook. But yeah, I'm completely self-taught music wise as well, bass playing wise, and so sometimes, you know, I will kind of make, you know, kind of mistakes. Like if I'm working with a piano player, you know, I'll call like this note, you know, A flat in a certain key, and he'll say, no, it's G sharp. And I'm like, it's the same note to me, you know. So, do you know what I mean? I've got that thing going on. But with the modes, I worked out the modes, like, you know, when I was like 17 or something like that. And if nobody has ever played the modes, it's basically, I mean, this is what they are, you know, in answer to your question. It's just, obviously, the major scale, you know. It's that. But but kind of centered on different notes. So it's like instead of going from note 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and doing an octave, you go from note 2 for Dorian, note 3, and so it's like the major scale, but just kind of starting on a different note, or a better word is centering on a different note of the major scale. And obviously that gives you 7 of them, and then you get back to the 1, the octave. And for years, I didn't get it at all. I thought, well, it's just a major scale. It's just a major scale centered on different notes. And when it really clicked with me was, funny, a piano player friend of mine said, yeah, you're right, but if you, and this was the tip he gave, and it worked for me, if you learn each one of those modes as its own scale, so you're not anymore relating it to the major scale, you're just playing it like a thing. Like I might play Dorian like that. And what it is, what you end up with is slightly altered major and minor scales, So Dorian's like a minor scale with a major 6, as opposed to a flat 6. And then if you just basically take that as a thing all of its own, and then superimpose that over a minor chord or a minor 7. So if you're jamming over a G minor 7 and a C7 or something, you can use Dorian over that, and that's the way that I kind of started to use them, is just find which note was strange. Like, so Dorian, like I say, this is a minor scale, a regular minor, natural minor. So you got that flat 6, and you get that in a Dorian, right? And it's like, this is the other thing I'm really bad for, because I'm not bothered about knowing it in real terms. Is I always forget which one's which, So which is 4 Mixolydian. Anyway, the major that's the mode that starts on note 4 of the major scale is this. It's like a major scale with like a sharp 4, So if you take that and play that, sort of superimpose lines using that over a major 7th chord, like a C major 7, and don't think of it as, number 4 in G or whatever, like take it and make it its own thing. 2 things happen. One is your note choices are different and it sounds fresh, but the other thing is really work that weird sharp 4 thing, really work that and milk it, and that's what I do anyway. Hope that helps.
I just thought I'd mention as well, you actually do Skype lessons.
I actually do.
I'm just thinking, it kind of was, yeah.
Shameless plug, is that, Jan?
I think it is, actually. It just seemed to be the perfect moment.
She's good, that she's here for a reason. If you've only just joined, by the way, this is Janet that you can hear relaying the questions. Janet Whitley, my wife.
Okay. Sorry, looking at this. Dave... I think this is Sharebaum. He's saying hello from Bryan, Ohio, USA.
How you doing?
We've got Bill Wilkie. Greetings from Aberdeenshire. As new bike... I don't know, is that bass beginner? I assume so, because bike really doesn't come into the rest of the question.
No.
As a new bass beginner, Scott, would you recommend buying a passive bass, or is it worth going for an active for the extra benefits in the future?
It comes up, obviously, it's it's almost as... comes up as often as the P bass versus jazz bass thing. This, not to put dissing the question. It's a good question, but it's kind of horses for courses. The thing is, there is this myth. I call it a myth anyway. That active basses sound more sometimes sterile, processed, more hi-fi, that kind of thing. Well, they do, but the actual truth of it is, it's actually passive basses that actually lose high and low frequencies through the guitar cable, right? And that's what makes them sound warmer. They're actually losing signal from the pickup along the way, whereas an active bass kind of retains everything that's there and sends it straight to the amp. So it's not necessarily boosting anything with an active bass, but they do sound. So just kind of getting back to your question, they just sound clearer, right? So this really clicky staccato kind of high end, you wouldn't quite achieve that on a passive bass through a long cable. It'd sound much more subdued. It'd sound beautiful, excuse me, but it wouldn't sound as hi-fi as that. So the other thing is as well, you've got to use your ears a lot more when you're playing an active bass to dial in the sounds, I think, because you can do extreme things. I just turn. Let me be silly. Turn the treble up full and the bass down to nothing, right? You're not going to get any jobs as a bass player using that sound. It's kind of cool, but or you could, turn all the treble off and the bass up full, and then you've got nothing. Be good for reggae. Whereas with a passive bass, you just got that tone control, and really all it does is make it kind of, in my ears, to my ears, more just mid-focus by rolling it off, and then just slightly more clanky, if you like. More treble is allowed through as you turn the tone up, so it's easier to work with, but less choice tone-wise. And also, if you're into the kind of players that I'm into, like Mark King and Stanley Clarke and those kind of guys, it's harder to get the sort of tone that those guys get with a passive bass. Hope that helps.
Dave Sherbaum, what type of effects pedal would you buy first? Compressor, octave, etc.?
There's a tough one. Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't think just off the bat, I couldn't really single one out. I could tell you what my favourite effects. My favourite effects are octave, like some kind of envelope filter. That where you get that, like that thing I was using before that. Yeah. Wait a minute. That plus octave sounds really cool and really synthy. So, but then again, it's like, when are you going to use it? I mean, when I'm playing around and I'm doing like my own stuff, I use that stuff all the time. But I wouldn't really. How can I put it? You're making a statement when you use effects like that in like if you're playing a blues band or something. It depends what you're doing, I guess. But that just for fun and inspiration, those kind of effects are great. Compression, just get a compressor if you need it. If you're finding that your sound isn't kind of upfront enough, or you're getting uneven notes, like some parts of you playing are punching out more than others. It can help with things like that. Although it's always a good idea to get that right in technique. So kind of hard to say, really. The chorus is just nice and fun, but it's not really very in vogue, at the minute. I play with it all the time, near enough, in big country, but it was like very much an 80s thing. It sounds great. I love chorus. So I suppose what I'm saying in short is that in most kind of styles of music that I actually go out and gig, I don't use a lot of effects at all. I just use them here and there, and those are the kind of effects I'd use. Chorus I might use for like slow stuff or fretless. I know that's not really answering your question. You still don't know which to buy, but those are the few that I'd choose from. And if you can't make a choice, you just fancy doing it. In fact, I tell you what, I will give you a more constructive answer. Consider getting a multi-effects unit. They're snubbed a little bit by the purists because they're not like true bypass and all this kind of stuff. But you've got, like in this little B10N unit here, I've got almost every kind of effect there is, and you could try them, see if you like an effect, and then go and get a boutique version of that if you like it. Yeah, that's a better answer.
I've spotted Kevin Ingham's. I don't know whether this is a second question or it's. It must be because the other one was retracted. I don't know if it's the same question or a different one. But he says, "Hi Scott, great Q&A and tutorials.
Thank you.
Have you ever taken a classic song and put in your own bass line?"
Yeah, all the time. I was talking to Laurent about this just the other day. That's where the creativity is at for me. I've very, very, very rarely learned a bass line absolutely as it was played originally. Key parts need to be played. Like, I don't know why I've just thought of Ghostbusters as a bass line, but, like... if you're playing Ghostbusters, not that anyone is likely to, you've got to play that bass line. You know, I mean, you could do a totally different version where you know, it'll work, but you expect to hear almost like the lead vocal. Right, so some bass lines are like that, and obviously those bass lines I learned that way. But if it's like a soul tune, you know, if I was learning something that James Jameson played on or something, I would kind of just get the vibe of the tune and the general way he was playing that line, because he improvised all over the place, and then do it my own way. So yeah, I do it all the time, and even in big country where I have to stay pretty close, you know, because they are those kind of bass lines that people expect to hear like a lead vocal. I stay pretty close to the original lines, but where there's room or where there's somewhere where I feel if I was the bass player on that record originally, I'd have done this here. You know, as long as it doesn't detract, as long as it adds something, then I'll go with it. Yeah.
Andy Turner, Hawkeye, he says, "Is that a long scale bass I spy over your right shoulder?"
It is, yeah. That was kind of like related to what I nearly spilled the beans about. But I will say this much. You're going to see me playing a bunch of different basses, hopefully, on the channel from here on. There's various reasons, and it's probably not ethical to go into it right now. But... yeah, just to I'm going to like just take a little back seat away from the SWB one and all that. I'm still going to use them, obviously. I love them. I designed them. But I'm just going to mix it up and use other things. I'm hoping to, get other short scale basses in, not just long scale, obviously, but to review on the channel. But I'm just going to have fun and mix it up a little bit. So you're going to see me playing different stuff.
Okay. Sorry, just going through here. Hugh says yes, 1,000 Stars. This is his favourite BC tune.
Oh yeah.
Stripy Socks. Hi Scott and Jan. Plectrums.
I'm going to say I've got sandals on. What do you mean?
I've got slippers. It's a good job you can't see them. Stripy Socks. Hi Scott and Jan. Plectrums. I use 46 Jim Dunlop nylon plectrums for electric guitar, but find them too flexible for bass. But find thicker ones awkward. What thickness do you use, and any suggestions? Oh,
yeah, I'm actually get this right. This is really funny, because I didn't mean it to be a thing, but I think I'm right in saying I'm the UK distributor for these plectrums, Fred Kelly picks.
Yes.
So
if you want your picks, get your picks here.
Yeah, I need to start doing something about this. Basically, I got an artist deal with them, and they just put me on distributor pricing, and as far as I know, there's nobody in the UK doing them. But yeah, I use... Let me see if I can get it to focus on.
Put your hand behind it.
Yeah, I know.
It tells me to do that.
Is it doing it?
Yeah, it is.
There we go.
Perfect.
Look at that. So that's a Fred Kelly pick. And they are absolutely astonishing. I was never like a big pick player until I joined Big Country. And then I put weight on and I became a big pick player. That was really bad, wasn't it? That was like one of my dad's jokes, wasn't it?
Oh dear. Your dad's not watching.
Sorry, Rogers. But I've got them in various... I use them in... they do them in different materials and stuff like that. And unfortunately, they just call them like... I think it's light, medium, and heavy, I think. But I really, really recommend you try some. I'll try and get some stock in. I don't know if they're in production at the minute. I'll try and get some in and maybe put them up for sale or something, the ones I actually use. But let me try and demonstrate why I use these. Right, I've got just a bunch of different picks here. I don't know what they are. Let me see. So this isn't what I use, by the way. Now, can you hear that? That little scrapey sound, right? That's the edge of the pick, kind of... Because I don't play like completely, you can't see the pick, can you? Parallel like that, right? When I hold my hand naturally, it just tends to be at a slight angle this way, right? And you get this. So rather than a nice clean attack, you get that. I'm exaggerating. I mean, playing it. So that's just, I don't know what that is. Picker just found somewhere, whatever. If I get one of these, right, just, what's this? It won't do it now. Listen to that. No scraping sound at all. Just bang, the note. Completely pointy, sharp attack. You know, absolutely mega picks. The only thing is, I'm trying to think what material these are. They make them in. Is it? There'll be someone who knows. Is it Derlin or Derlin or something like that? Delrin. That's what that is. Unbelievable attack, but they're so brittle that if you play too hard, they will break. So the ones that I normally use, I've not got one here. They're down in the house. Are the same design, and you still get that. That just check it out. It's really clean attack. A little bit softer in tone because it's a softer material, and so they're Fred Kelly picks. I think I use light in the nylon, you know. So yeah, and I went through scores of different makes of picks. A chap from America, Jack. I can't remember his last name.
Phillips.
Jack Phillips. He sent me some samples out, and there were some of those Fred Kellys in there, and they just, nothing else does it, you know? Does that instant attack thing on bass, so yeah, there you go.
John Fisher's asking, hi Scott, hi Janet.
How you doing?
Can I ask please, do you still count? This applies to Janet as well as Scott. Your timing when singing is very good. Thank you very much. How do you learn to keep good time?
So yeah, I do count if there's a particular phrase, like if this is something that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, ka, you know, like you know, something like that. Then I'll, if it's a tricky one, and I need to remember where it comes, then I'll count. But keeping good time and things like that, you know, timing generally, is about internalizing time and creating subdivisions of the time in your mind. So what all in a nutshell, because this could be a lesson all on its own. You know, if you're playing something that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're working say to a metronome, right? And let's say it's slower than that. And that's all you're hearing and listening to. It's kind of almost guesswork whether you hit the next one, you know? So what I do is I break it down into 16th notes at least in my head. And the easiest way to do that is just imagine someone playing a tambourine along with it, right? So let me quickly show you what I mean. I'll be as quick as I can with this, guys. Right, so let me turn that right down. Right, so say that's your thing you want to practice with. Before I play a note, I'll get this going in my head, right? Like, you could even double it up, like, and then you just keep that going in your head and focus on that, you know. So, you know, in my mind, it felt like I was playing to a funky drummer there, because I've got... You're not hearing that, but I'm hearing it in my head, and that's what you do. It's kind of like gridding out squares of paper, you know, to be able to get, you know, one on the second, you know. And that's the key to good timing, is subdividing the time and internalizing that, you know. And that's the easiest, kind of like most layman's way I can explain it, is to imagine someone's playing a tambourine or a shaker, you know, and you have to adjust it a little bit. If you're playing with a metronome, you I'm going a bit fast, and you kind of slow it down and mouth it, like physically do it, you know, until you get it right, and then keep going. And when you feel really comfortable, stop doing it, internalize it, and yeah, that's it. Hope that helps.
I think that's a much more in-depth answer than what I was going to reply for the singing side of it.
Sorry, Jan.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, for me personally, it's a feel. I feel the kind of rhythm for me, you know, and I can sort of do that. And I guess if I was to sort of think about it, I think I probably go off the bass drum as like obviously for the timing, and you hope that the drummer's actually in time, so you go off that. I think the only time that I ever do count is if there's something like a push, if I'm going to sing something and it's just not on the beat, or also the other time that I do count, but it's more counting the bars, is when there's like a middle eighth or something, and then you're coming back in singing at some point, and it might go on for however many bars, and then, you know, if I'm not sure, I tend to count the bars, and then I know when to come back in.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some times when you... And just one final thing on this, because I think it's an interesting topic for everybody. What's that just seen? Oh, there you go. Fred Kelly. Is to... Another way to remember phrases is, rather than literally count, is to come up with like words that fit. You know, there is a name for this. I forget what it is, but when I was in one of my first bands, we were doing Poison Ivy. Can I remember that riff? That's it. And the ending we came up was we played that 3 times, and then I'll just quickly play it. This is the last one. Right. You know, it was like 15, and I went, where's that stop? Where's that? You know, couldn't. And the guy that was sort of like coaching us a little bit, he said, like, just think, has your dad come back? You know, so we went to, has your dad come back? You know, and that really works. It's a thing.
That's great. I like that.
Thank you.
I'm going to remember that one.
It works.
Mark Cosgrove. Hey, Scott.
How you doing?
Is it normal for your fingertips on your fretting hand to go numb when you're first learning the bass?
On your fretting hand? Yeah, I mean, as long as, you know, it's... I mean, oddly enough, I have all kinds of issues with tendons. I have to really be on it. That's part of the reason I'm rearranging my desk, is I'm trying to make everything to... avoid getting RSIs. I'm spending so much time on the computers these days, playing games. No, not playing games. Doing things towards making this channel better, and that. Yeah, I mean, if I'm not careful, I get tendinitis and things. So I have to be so careful. But yeah, if as long as it's not that, as long as it's not like tendinitis, if it's just literally, you know, almost like a burning sensation, kind of tingly thing, then that's probably just things just hardening up. You know. While we're on that, don't know if anybody's seen these things, but I don't use it as often as I should. But when I've been at a real low with suffering with tendinitis and stuff, you know, because it can be crippling, it can stop you playing. These things, this is like a copy. I think the original's called a power ball. This is called strength ball. You just kind of use this for a few minutes here and there on each hand every day, and it's a gyroscopic thing, and you wouldn't believe the you know how it feels when you're using it. I don't mean that it feels amazing. It's just it doesn't look like it's doing anything, but when you use it, you can really feel it, right? But as I understand it, not to get too deep about this from that question, but a lot of the kind of problems you get from playing instruments is an imbalance between you know, this and that motion, you know, these tendons here. So a lot of these things work those tendons. I have another fancy contraption somewhere that works them. So, you know, you got to be on your guard. But yeah, so hopefully you're just talking about numbness in your fingers, as in like, ow, they're kind of hurting. If it's anything more than that, then do consider maybe just getting something like that, and also like using supplements like glucosamine, plenty of turmeric or turmeric, if you want to pronounce it that way, to reduce inflammation. There you go, Dr. Scott. Thank you very much.
Niall Featherstone says thanks so much. I assume that's for the Big Country 1,000 stars.
My pleasure, Governor.
I don't know whether Raoul Corrie has not seen or heard your response, but he's 3 times he's put, "Hey Scott, can you tell me how to practice modes?" So I'm assuming he's seen your reply now because.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on. Let me just I talked about what the modes were. Yeah, I think yeah.
You did.
Yeah,
You replied.
I went
yes.
quite into that.
Yeah.
Didn't I? Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much, Hugh. That's very kind of you. He's asking what live streaming software. This isn't the very kind thing. This is another question. He put a nice comment on, but this is a question from him as well.
I get it. I understand.
Yeah. What live streaming software are you using?
I'm using OBS, which is free. I've just opened the new can of worms and downloaded Streamlabs OBS, which it's got a ton of stuff in there, which is like loads better. So I'm gonna, when I've got all the rooms sorted, that's another thing I've got to do is make the switch. Apparently it's quite easy. But yeah, I use OBS, and I'm gonna do. It might not be everybody's cup of tea on the channel, but you could always skip by, I guess. But I'm gonna do some videos on how I'm making my videos, because I think once all this is in place, it's gonna be the best my videos have ever sounded and looked, and hopefully I can help others shortcut the mad kind of stuff that I've been going through the last 2 months. Save you some time.
Sorry, I thought you'd finished. I've just spotted Raoul. He says, thanks, Scott. Raoul here from India. So he did obviously hear your reply to him.
Brilliant. My pleasure.
Hugh says that live streaming is the only thing he's not done as of yet. So there you go. Hopefully you've got some tips there, Hugh.
Yeah, I think it will help people, because it is an absolute minefield. When you start to do it, holding an iPhone up and hitting go is great, and it's amazingly good. But once you start, trying to use a camera that, like I'm using a Fujifilm camera up here as my main camera, and I've not got them set up today, but I've got multi-camera angles and stuff, and it's a head screw, to be honest with you.
Bill Wilkie, thank you. Predictive text is a pain. Yes, newbie bass player, not bike.
There we go.
Thought so. There you go. Andy T. Let's have a look. Where's it gone? Hi, Scott. Do you find that a 5-piece neck really adds to its stability?
If I'm really honest, and I know it's like he's on about this fancy business here. So instead of it being like one piece of maple or whatever wood it is, you get 5 pieces. Not massively. I mean, it depends what you call stability. It definitely doesn't. It scares me when I do a lot of this. That kind of stuff, and when I do that using this bass, I'm like, will it just snap instead of bending? You know what I mean? So I'm a little bit wary of it from that point of view. So it seems more stable like that, but I don't think on the whole, if the humidity changes, then the truss rod, the Allen keys are out to adjust the truss rod just the same as any other bass. The only thing that I've never adjusted, throughout different times of the year has been graphite necks. I've had a few status bases. So, it's... I suppose they probably are technically slightly more stable, but they still need adjusting, And I am going to do some videos on demystifying the truss rod. Demystifying the truss rod. Yeah, I like it.
Kevin Ingham, thanks Scott and Jan. Seems sacrilegious to mess with iconic bass lines, I know, but a challenge and fun as a musician.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, just going back to that, I don't learn the iconic part of the bass line, like you won't play, I don't know, like you're not going to do anything with that, but around it, like just putting little fills and bits of embellishments in there. That's kind of what I'm talking about with those kind of bass lines,
Okay, we're just obviously getting near the end now, so I just wanted to have a look. Dale Gatenby, good on you. He says, thanks, Jan, for pronouncing my name correctly, which is good. By the way, I've ditched the glove thing and cut my nails, proper basis now. However, doing a few songs on our street before 8 p.m. clapping for NHS. Go, Dale.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Have we got other question there?
Yeah, that's it.
Ah, sorry, yeah.
So, and Stripey Socks just says, Plectrums, thanks for the advice. We'll look out for the Scott Whitley specials from your site. Laurent, and we've got the super chat question. He says, I'm a lot into Alain Caron's work and yours. At this moment, he plays on a 6-string bass, always played 4 strings. Do you think it could develop my slap playing on a 6-string?
So, just a couple of things about that player, for example, for a start, is I discovered him by nerding out on bass gear. I bought a Roland V bass, was it called? Or was that something like that? Combo a few years ago. It was a huge thing. Actually, it's probably about 10 years ago. And I was kind of Googling, searching YouTube for videos on that cab. And this bass player, is that how you pronounce it? Alain, is it? Alan?
I think so, Alain.
Yeah,
Alain.
Yeah. He was using that bass. He was using 2 of them stacked up, actually. And he's a great player, like lovely slap player, jazz player, amazing guy. He's well known in the bass community, But 6-string, it's not for me. I mean, I think I touched on that in one of the Q&As. I've had 6-string basses, and I love to see people using them. I think it's amazing. But I find the opposite, really. It would make your slap playing better because it's harder. It's harder to do on those basses because there's less space in between the strings usually. I think they're about 16.5 mil string spacing or something. And or maybe less, and bigger necks, harder to keep everything dampened, And I remember like hearing Mark King talking about those kind, like multi-string bass, whatever. And he doesn't like him for the same reason, It's I like to be able to do that, and just it's really weird, doesn't it? But you know what I mean? You can damp with your thumb, and you can do this and that and whatever. And I just feel like I have more control and command over a 4-string, but that's not. I'm not going to down her on. I wish I was more proficient with the others, but it's not. It's not my thing. I just kind of made a decision. I'm not. I'm happy with 4. I've still got lots of way to go with 4 strings, so I'm happy with that. So hope that answers that question.
I think that's pretty much rounded it up on the question hour because we've reached the end. But I just wanted to tell you a couple of nice comments, Scott. Rachel Connolly, love these sessions. I feel like I'm hanging out with my tribe. I Harris says, hi Scott, Jan. As I said recently, I love the channel and the tutorials. Maybe this is one for next week. If you come back next week, he says, just putting out the request again for the Stranglers song Genetics to be covered.
I did get your message on that. I've put it in my, I have like a virtual suggestion box. It's in there.
Peter Nelson, I used one when I had tennis elbow. It was brilliant. Andy T, I have a frustrating number of problems with my hands on. Recently bought a power ball because of your recommendations. I'll let you know if it helps. And Stephen Black, okay, I'm here now. So if you would just start over at the beginning, that would be great.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so Vance just came in. Hey Scott, is there any way I could possibly get an SWB1 bass for cheaper, maybe an old model? But like I say, perhaps if you want to answer that. But
yeah, there's not. There are. I think there are none around at the minute, and it's. I don't really have a lot to do with I think there are issues with production and things like that at the minute, which is kind of why I'm sort of going to distance myself a little bit from the SWB one at the minute, because I'm not really
not the SWB, of course.
Not the
that's your
SWB,
design,
no, just more the whole charity thing, and because nothing's really moving with it. I don't know where we are with it, and so I think it just for this period, I'm going to kind of like just sort of slightly disassociate myself a little bit, and like I say, just play a mix of stuff, and then when we come out of lockdown, if things improve, then we can pick up that connection again. So yeah.
So, are you going to finish off with a little tune yourself, or how are you
I'm
finishing
not, well,
this?
I normally have a couple of tunes prepared. I don't have anything, so I'll just do a little jam just to finish off with. Again, the reason being that, and you will see this. I'm gonna make some videos on how I'm making my videos and what all the time has been going into behind the scenes. But yeah, I'll just do a little jam. Hopefully you can enjoy that to finish. Thanks very much, guys. Just to kill the things, I will just tell you about the down below the video. And I don't know whether it appears on the live stream. Are you watching it on your?
Yes, I am.
Can you see it? The join?
I certainly can see the join.
Can you see the join? That's
I can see it says join in a box and it's blue.
There you go. That's
next to subscribe.
That's going to be my new catchphrase. Can you see the join? So, but down below the videos, there's a join button. And if you like the stuff that I do here on YouTube, you can actually click on that and you can become a member of the YouTube channel. And it starts from like, I think, I can't remember the lowest amount that I could enter was, I think it's $1.99 a month, and that's it, you know. So if you want to support what I'm doing, it's a great way that you can. And you get some really cool perks, you know. You get some, you know, behind the scenes footage, depending on which kind of tier you sign up for. So that's one cool thing. Also, on my channel now, there's a little, if you actually go, don't do it now because well, I haven't said bye, but there's a shop, and I don't think anything's showing in there at the minute, but it's taking a few days to connect. But there'll be like little bits of SW merch, you know, like T-shirts, and black ones by special request because I like white ones, but everyone said they get dirty and or too easily. So that should appear. So you know, a bunch of cool stuff happening there. So keep your eyes peeled. And I've started to be really what's the word? Active in the community tab, which is also on the homepage of my YouTube channel. There's a community tab, and I've started to post a lot in there, so you can get involved in chat in there. So thanks a lot, guys. I'm gonna I'll just have a jam. Going back to that thing earlier on that somebody was asking about, how do you come up with these things, these bass lines and fun stuff. Like I say, this is what I'll do. I'll put a drum rhythm on and try and be inspired by it. So I'm going to try that now. Thanks a lot, and see you in the next video. Crikey, that's not very inspiring, is it? I'll go with it, though. It'll get better, I'll tell you. Thanks very much indeed. See you next week. Cheers. Bye.